Okay. Show me.
Alright, fellas, I'm ready to fight.
Oh my gosh!
That's not me! That's not Cockroach Tony Montana!
We want the black people on the motherfucking wall of fame now!
Is that what you want?
I want you to be a hockey player! I am a hockey player!
Alright, I'm not a fucking athlete. This is my fucking way. This is how I win.
You go in pieces, asshole.
The Where We Gems Movie Podcast, your home for the most underrated and underappreciated films. Hello and welcome to episode 9 of There Will Be Gems Movie Podcast. Always bringing you the shittiest, hottest takes on movies you may or may not have heard of. I'm here tonight with the man who loves a witty crime drama, paying the ghost. He'll put your photoshopping into embarrassing situations. The voice of Boy himself, Tom.
That's me.
Next up, the man who loves a slow burn character piece. He'll drink your milkshake, then hook you up with 5 lines and unlimited data for a family value.
Oh my
Ryan.
god. Oh my god. Bring it.
Up next, the man who loves rom-coms and athletic men with extraordinary powers. He thought podcasting would be cheaper than therapy. Our resident dad, John.
What's up?
And then lastly, the man who can't watch a movie unless it leaves you emotionally distraught. He won't admit he's a pretentious douchebag and never misses a Criterion sale. Yours truly, Tyler.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Great.
Oh, just peachy.
You say that every week, Ren.
Yeah, I'm always peachy.
That's
All
gonna
right, peachy.
So peachy.
Still peach.
I'm good.
This week you're just gonna be like bad.
Fucking shitty.
Today was the worst fucking day of my life.
Yeah.
It's the worst day of your life so far.
Like, so my boss, he's an asshole.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on. I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
It could be worse. I keep it entertaining.
Do you think podcasting with your employees is against company policy?
I just hired my best friend and my cousin, so that's definitely against company policy. So
company ethics are out the window.
Who fucking cares?
Yay! I did it.
Conflicts of interest do not exist.
Well, it's a simple thing. Like, I'd rather hire people that I know are gonna A, do a good job, B, not argue with me every fucking step of the way, and C, listen to things that I have to say.
Yeah, I've noticed more and more people just get referred to jobs because it's so hard to just find people that'll just behave like normal human being.
Case in point,
really is.
Ryan is amazing at work. He does his job very well. Anyways, so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's gonna work out very well.
All right then.
Maybe.
Damn it.
You gotta have that attitude.
Scabies.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm a very HIV positive type person.
I see.
I would hope
You want to elaborate on the HIV positive?
Well, you see, sometimes in life you forget to wear what's called a condom. So
Forget or
sometimes
neglect?
a little bit of both. Because, I live life on the edge. I'm more of a cliff jumper than anything. So sometimes I like to have promiscuous, premarital, unprotected sex with women.
With monkeys.
That too. Preferably Bubbles, the Michael Jackson monkey, who's in the amazing game Moonwalker on Sega Genesis.
What about Coco?
Who the fuck
Gorilla.
is Coco?
How dare you?
You know, from the movie.
Oh, the
from
Disney
real
movie.
life. Oh, from the real ass life.
Wait, is that the Jane Austen one? Or whatever her name is?
The one that's friends with Robin Williams and Flea and...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they cried when they found out Robin Williams died.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
he signed
right.
"Oh shit, fam" when he heard.
Oh, shit.
What?
Yeah, it really happened. Look it up.
100%.
What's our topic for the week?
Oh, our discussion topic? You're referring to... Wow. Do we have a fun one for you this week?
All right, let's get to it.
In relation to our feature review tonight, Guys, what is your favorite movie starring or featuring a non-working actor?
Like that one that doesn't work anymore?
One that is
No.
not an acting person in in movies.
So just
As
like a
in
like a
has
one-off.
Just like in this movie starred a person who was not a working actor.
Oh, so like a random one-offer.
Or it's just not working anymore, right?
Yeah, I get. Yeah, it's like a cameo role.
Oh, damn. I took it as someone that's not currently working.
I mean, you can still. If like at that point, just go with it. It's like I was going down the line. It's really like not as like common as you think.
Yeah.
They're all like gimmicky movies.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, given your interpretation, who would you have?
I picked 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams.
Because he
Oh.
is no longer working.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
What? I thought that's what he meant.
Wow. Full circle on that
Good
Robin
movie.
Williams thing, though. Talking about Robin Williams dying, then
Yeah.
boom, right in. Okay.
That's why I brought it up.
All right. Okay.
I like that movie.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
I was watching that movie just like out in the open in the living room, and like the half a second in that movie where there's like boobs, like it's like the only thing that's slightly inappropriate in that movie. My mom walks in.
Oh, man. That's a really uncomfortable scene, too.
She's like, "What are you watching?"
He's at your dick.
That movie's That was like that's like the first time I ever saw Robin Williams not playing Robin Williams.
Yeah.
That movie's
Hunting before that?
Or
I
Bicentennial
definitely
Man,
saw
or
I saw this before. I saw this
Flubber?
Hunting first.
did you see Flubber?
Or Flubber.
He plays a scientist.
Known for his many
I forgot
amazing
about.
roles
I forgot.
as Flubber.
How do you forget about fucking Flubber?
I remember
Number
I
one.
thought that movie was hot shit when it came out.
Turns out it was just shit.
Turns out it still is hot shit.
It turns out it was for children, and I was indeed a child.
All right, we are gonna watch that movie on Disney Plus tonight.
Hell yeah.
All right. Party
Yeah,
in the
my
living
poor
room.
mom. I had to go see so many shitty movies because I was a child.
Yeah, I sat through Frozen 2.
What are some other terrible movies you've had to see because you have a child?
That movie. Let's see, what's another one? I mean, this wasn't with a child, but Ghostbusters the remake, that was awful.
That was for you. Let's not lie.
That was no, actually, the ex-girlfriend wanted to see it more than I did, so I was like, whatever, I'll go check it out. And
I feel like she loved it.
she did because she loves things that are bad for her.
Because girl power, right?
Yeah,
That movie was so
Frozen
bad.
2 is definitely one of them. What's another one? I'm trying to think.
I remember I walked out of that Ghostbusters movie offended.
Yeah, you're I had to sit through the whole thing. I mean, I'm not into like the Disney movies anymore, so basically any Disney movie that came out in like the last 9 years that I've had to go to see. Cinderella was actually one that I enjoyed. Actually, the live action one. I took Aubrey to see that.
Yeah, I watch some of these Disney movies for fun. I don't even give a shit.
I hated Inside
Story
Out.
4. Toy Story 4, my guy. Oh my god. That movie's fire.
Yeah, definitely
Best one.
definitely didn't like Inside Out.
I heard a lot of people didn't like Inside Out.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really hard to think.
What's
like,
Inside Out about? Usually it's obvious.
It's about your emotions. It takes place inside a little girl's brain or a heart.
Yeah.
I don't know whatever they're inside
About
her.
someone getting turned inside out.
That's the first thing I thought. Like a child getting turned inside out.
Like in the Pixar art.
Oh my god, that would be fucking
it's okay.
terrifying.
Yeah, so it's fine.
That would be terrifying.
Fine. Everyone's smiling the whole time.
It's just a child in a skin suit on the inside.
A skin flute? What?
No, not a skin flute, John.
Jesus Christ. Dude,
Yes.
Ay.
I had to watch some terrible movies this weekend.
Well, back to the subject. Yeah, John, what would your non-actor movie would be?
Bam Margera. for his 3 seconds that he's in that movie Grind, which is one of my favorite comedy movies / sports movies, I guess.
You like that movie?
I love Grind. I don't know that movie hits for me. Yeah, I don't know.
When was the last time you watched it?
That's a good question, actually. Yeah, it's been probably like 6 years. I
thought this movie was unwatchable when I was like 14.
Actually, no. I think I watched it with my ex, actually. Like
That could mean a lot of things.
What, the ex?
Yeah.
Well, the big one. Not like the fat one, but like the...
Hey, guys.
I'm ready to fuck! Yeah, probably just Bam Margera for randomly just being in like one movie. That's not Jackass. And because
Jackass
people
counts.
said I looked like him. I don't consider Jackass a movie. I consider that more like a very long YouTube video.
No, that's a movie.
I mean, it's a movie, but is it?
It's not. It doesn't have a plot.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
just kinda
it's a bunch of
I watch movies
sketches.
without a plot. Remember that movie you came down and saw me watching, like at like 2 a.m. that one night?
Yeah, that movie was fucking God. What was going on in that movie? You're like, it's some like Ukrainian bimbo movie or whatever you called it. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
I was just downstairs watching a snuff film.
No, it was like I forgot what country it's from, but it's like a Middle Eastern like metaphoric biopic of some poet from the 1800s, and there's no narrative. It's just like a series of like images and
it's
phrases like depicting his life. It's 70 minutes long. It's called The Color of Pomegranates.
it was like the most confusing thing I've ever seen.
It's not like 1:30 in the morning.
Interesting.
This was my double feature with 12 Angry Men. It was a weird day.
That movie was almost as confusing as stepping into the theater and getting drunk and watching Fantastic Four, the Josh Trank.
I had no idea what went on in that movie. I just appreciated I just really appreciated some of the imagery, but I had no idea what was going on in that movie, and I'm not really interested in watching it again anytime soon.
Yeah.
I can't say the same about Fantastic Four.
The one we all saw together.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie was bad.
Where we all got piss ass drunk.
Fucked up.
Yeah, we got piss ass drunk off Dr. Pibb and Jack Daniels.
I just had such a habit of getting a huge soda at the movies and sneaking in a little pint of Jack and just dumping it in.
Yeah,
That's the way to do it.
A lot.
Yeah. I remember one time I was next to these 2 high school girls that I did, and they're both just dying. What is this? Yes.
I remember me and you both doing that. We someone walked by and just saw our empty nips on the floor. I was like, what the fuck?
Whoa.
Oops. All alcohol.
I didn't come to watch Doctor Strange sober.
Came for the tomato soup.
I just don't want to watch these. Those movies are probably better enjoyed impaired. All right, Ryan, what's your favorite movie without a working actor?
Mine is They Live.
Oh, that's a fucking real good one.
Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Hell yeah, that's a real good one. Comes to kick ass and chew bubblegum.
He's all out of bubblegum.
Yeah.
Was he Duke Nukem?
He just walks into a bank with a shotgun and his sunglasses and goes, I have come here to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of bubblegum, and starts unloading on him.
Well, all right.
You ever see that cripple fight episode on South Park?
Yeah, I have.
The cripple fight is taken shot for shot from a fight Roddy Piper has with Keith David in this movie.
Oh my god.
And he's trying to get him to put on glasses that lets him see aliens instead of a silly hat.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's so funny. He's picking him up and body slamming him and stuff. It's fucking hilarious.
My favorite Roddy Piper role is Always Sunny. So good and nice job.
You're a good kid.
Yeah.
It's signs his parking ticket, gives it to him. Here's an autograph.
Oh wait, I just remembered what mine actually is.
All right, what is it?
It's Kazam.
Oh, it was there all along.
It was there.
So my pick My pick was 1981 Scanners by David Cronenberg. It features an artist named Stephen Lack, he was the lead in this movie. He's never had any other acting credit other than like doing a quick scene or something. He has like 11 total acting credits. He's in another Cronenberg movie where he's in it for like legit like a minute, has like 2 lines. But he's like speaks real weird. He's like always like seems confused, and like this movie is like real whimsical and like very sci-fi, so it just goes with it. And he'd probably be lost in anything else because you can tell he's clearly not a good actor. But that would be my pick, other than the film we're about to talk about.
You just know when it goes really big and the camera goes like out of the roof and you just know it's gonna end.
I've seen it all. I have seen the trees. I have seen the willow leaves dancing in the breeze. I listen while you're the dancer, then spare you from that burden. It's gonna be hard if I
I used to dream that I was in a musical, because in a musical, nothing dreadful ever happens.
All right. Well, this is a musical melodrama from Danish director Lars Von Trier. Lars, to give a quick synopsis. An East European girl travels to the United States with her young son, expecting it to be like a Hollywood film. So, before we go into initial thoughts of this movie, done a little bit of research on it, and this has to be basically the most critically split movie I've ever read about. There's like, I read some articles about hosts like on the same show, like where one of them says this is like the greatest movie of the century, and the other host says this is unwatchable trash. Like there's literally like no like, well, I feel in the middle, but it's either people love this movie or they fucking despise it. It's like, oh, this is an expression of art, or this is the most mean-spirited, disgusting movie I've ever seen. It's trash. It looks like shit. So, having that said, what side of the fence is everybody on?
Well, first of all, 5 people named Lars worked on this movie. There it is.
It was filmed in Sweden because Lars Von Trier refuses to fly.
Yeah, Peter Stormare was in it. I like him a lot. He's got a very like heavy Swedish accent.
Yep.
Yeah, I was very split on this movie for sure. I understand where they're coming from with that. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about.
He put Steve Buscemi in a wood chipper.
He did.
When did he do that?
Fargo.
Oh, Fargo. Okay.
Yeah. And he sang a musical number in this movie.
Yeah, that's one of the things I want to talk about later.
All right, before you get there, I hate to break it to you, but everybody sang their musical parts except Peter Stormare. He was replaced by Tom York.
Okay. Wow, really? That's wow.
Yeah, I do love me some Tom York.
Yeah, he was like, oh, not good enough. That's Tom York.
That's surprising because I was gonna say like some of the singing's a little off, but his is terrible. Like by far the worst. And so to hear that's actually Tom York of Radiohead, like damn.
I mean, honestly, it's not Tom York. Like is more the way he delivers his sings than the way he sings. I would say.
Yeah.
I've never been like,
bad.
wow, Radiohead sound. I've never like, oh, that's a great singing voice. Right. It's more like the way he does it.
Right. But it's honestly, like it's actually a professional singer, and it sounds so fucking bad.
With all the content I've watched, like about Lars Von Trier talking about his philosophy with film and movies and behind the scenes, I bet you he was standing there going, "Oh, can you say it's a little bit weirder?"
More Swedish.
More Swedish,
He is
Tom.
a strange guy.
You probably called him Thom.
Yeah.
Him and Bjork
Ow.
hated each other. The whole set, they hated each other. Lars and Bjork. Yeah. She still talks shit about him to this day.
Wow.
Yeah, he hated her.
He kept doing cocaine and yelling at me.
He kept saying, Bjork, like the dog.
Oh my god.
A lot of them did stem from harassment, and I guess she would do weird stuff after takes, she'd run up to her and hug her and just hold her for a minute and stroke her hair and shit.
The fuck?
He's like, I love you,
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was gonna bring that up in some trivia bivia later, but
Yeah, then at some point, after months, so she's like, "That's enough," and he got all mad about it and broke a chair on set in front of everyone.
Bjork, this chair.
Him and his producer refute that and say she's lying and that she was a prima donna and held up production. So,
of course they did.
yeah. So but I don't know. Then the other actress, Catherine Deneuve, who I'm actually a really big fan of her. I have a lot of movies. I've seen a lot of movies with her, and I like her a lot. I mean, but then she's I didn't particularly like either of them, but I had a good experience with the movie, so it's kind of hard to tell what actually went on. But anyways, getting into this movie, first off, the film reels start rolling. It's clearly doesn't look like your typical movie, and very clearly you already have this shaky camera, kind of grainy film stock. Well, it's actually not film stock. This whole movie was shot handheld. I don't know if anybody noticed that.
I could tell.
Yeah, whole thing's handheld. And the philosophy with that, about 5 years before this, Lars Von Trier and another Danish director, I'm not sure what his name is, kind of started a movement called Dogma 95. I don't know everything about it in detail. There's a whole documentary about it. I haven't watched it, but basically the philosophy is to strip back the distractions in filmmaking, things like special lighting, special cameras, big film sets, stuff like that. Just stripping that all away, so you could focus completely on the performances and the emotion from the actors. And in this movie, he chose to not use large cameras, just all handheld cameras, so we could focus on something like that. And if you've noticed, except for the musical numbers, there's no music in this movie. It's all just very raw. I think it really gives this movie a impactful feel. I think this is a very powerful movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think that really worked in his favor for the story he was telling.
I think for me, with the absence of music, you could really tell with it was at the end.
I really noticed it towards the middle when something important's happening. You're so used to that being guided with something dramatic that when it's just not there, it's almost unnerving.
Yeah.
I'm immediately captivated by this movie. Within the first couple minutes, when she's yelling at her kid for skipping school, I'm already completely absorbed into this movie. I love this character. I love the character Bjork plays, Selma. Immediately behind that character. I'm already following this character around, learning about this character. So, John, you felt like this dragged a little. How did you feel about the opening when we were kind of learning about the Selma character, her work, her home life with her kid?
I fell asleep.
Yikes!
Yeah, for a good 3 minutes. I found this movie very boring.
You thought it was boring?
Thought it was boring.
I'm immediately immersed in this film, from the first 5 minutes.
It's the beginning part is one of the parts that I thought dragged for me.
Yeah,
there were two parts in specific, and this was one of them.
I think I'm just so interested in her character immediately, and I'm really fascinated by the way the film looks that it gets me through it pretty easily. I think.
See, I feel that way about her later. It's this part here, I'm not really interested in her, and because of the low quality, it's kind of we're just following a random person. Up until a certain point, that's how I feel, and then I totally get where you're saying that about her.
Yeah, I like that rawness to it. I think I'm really what's the I'm really just kind of into this style of filmmaking.
Yeah, I liked it too. Once it got to the part where she was talking to Jim in the kitchen. That's
Yeah, I was gonna say,
for me.
That's when like the movie starts to really get the ball rolling.
And once it got there, I really liked that it was in that like subtle, low quality style where it just seemed like two people with like real world problems.
Yeah, it feels like real life.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I liked about that.
Yeah, I really like the feel I get from this movie. It feels like real life to me. And it feels there's a lot of. Well, I like movies about real life. I really like movies like this where you learn about a character and like you see their struggles, and when you have ways in a movie to just tell you more about that than just like through the arbitrary dialogue and using like your film style to really like pursue the idea as instead of just kind of having the camera as like some type of static. This camera's never stopped moving in this movie, which is another thing I really like. And that's not just this movie. He really his style is very distinct, and they're not all low quality like this, but he really likes the handheld kind of like constant moving camera feel. Yeah, one thing he does is he goes real loose on the scripts all the time. He has more of a blueprint, and he likes to like work around the actors, having more of a realistic conversation.
Also, quick pause for this. This was back in Lars Von Trier's drug days, where he used to write a script in a weekend. Yeah, that also because the first movie I don't know if he's made anything since, but the first movie he made after he stopped doing drugs was Nymphomaniac, and it took him like 9 months to write it.
Yeah, I think he had this one in the bag for a while though, because it took him a year to convince Bjork to do this part.
Come on, Bjork.
Just imagine a year like be in my movie.
You can sing.
Yeah. And then her friend, like the woman that plays Kathy, that was originally supposed to be a 35-year-old black woman, and then Kat Deneau wanted to be in the movie, so he's like, I'm not gonna turn down Kat Deneau, and give her the part and rewrote it to be a French immigrant. I think he uses a lot of symbolism in this movie with the three immigrant characters, where those are like the three characters that are kind of just had the most pure intentions throughout the movie. Togetherness. Those are the characters that aren't judging anyone. Where you have characters all throughout the movie, and it really comes to a head in the second half of the film. When you see like these circumstances just closing in on her. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is, and it's all from people who like don't really like look at her as more as just like this person that's just there, you know what I mean? Like there's nobody else besides like the Bill character and the two like immigrants that take any like time to like get to know her. But you follow her around, you really see this as this warm character that has a lot to give. And I think that's a real interesting take on immigrant persecution and how this film plays out.
I was going to say, this also kind of plays on like kind of making fun of like the whole American dream with like you have all these immigrants coming over like and then they end up just being like stuck in like factory jobs like living in like the trailer park. It's like, oh, it's really not the American dream. It's they came over here hoping for it, and then
exactly. So this, for once, we're following a real narrative.
Yeah.
So maybe we should do that. So we meet this Selma character at her dance rehearsal, and it moves pretty quick. You see her looking at a piece of paper with an eye chart on it. They go into the eye doctors. We really don't know anything yet, but it took me probably watch this movie 3 times to even like catch on to that. Like she's like faking her eye exam.
I thought she was trying to like make it look like she had good eyesight, so she wouldn't have to wear glasses anymore or something.
Yep.
I didn't quite know what was going on, but I did catch that.
Yeah. I think that's real. I don't know how I always glossed over that scene with Kathy finding like the note in her bag and like realizing this girl is actually just like blind. Yeah. I thought that was just I really like the circumstances he built around this character. How she's like still so hopeful in the way he incorporates the musicals, like by having her have this disease that's going to cause her to go blind, and she's already almost there now.
Yeah,
I thought that was really creative, and then it really gave you a good emotional arc for her and her son in this movie.
I like how even like the entire movie really hides how blind she is until like you get into like the meat of probably like the second act.
Yeah, until you can't hide it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good way to take it. So yeah, we see her. She's at her factory job, and that's where you meet her true four friends in the movie. You meet Catherine Deneuve's character Kathy, and you meet Jeff Stormare's character Jeff, who is just almost the naive man wanting to be her boyfriend, always there to offer her a ride. Yeah, and always holding that L. He's a fucking simp in this movie. I love it.
He's like so much.
All these characters, though, they like really have a charm to me. That like I just really like all these characters, and just like all these just mundane little things, like really kind of just put a smile on my face. Just like the persistent Jeff character, like like trying to make excuses to give her a ride every time.
Shows up with a bike just outside the house.
Yeah,
I brought you a bike.
It's a Bjork bike.
It's for Gene. So after we meet these characters, she gets back to the living situation. You find out she's living in a trailer behind the house of this wealthy couple, Bill and I don't even remember the wife's name. She's not that important.
She's spendy all the money.
Bill and Linda. Yeah. And we find Bill has an inheritance of money that he's very proud of, and he has a wife who is spending all his money and
tell me about
not
it.
really aware of the financial situation. Oh, I know you've been there.
Motherfucker, you preaching to the wrong choir.
So Bill, because of this whole, Bill constantly has this constant anxiety and hopelessness because of this, and he really has a bond with Selma because of this. But the problem is, as we'll find out about Bill's character, is he's just a huge coward. And it's just his whole character is just woe is me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to feel bad for him. He's just kind of like pathetic the whole movie.
Yeah. I really don't feel bad for him at all.
Yeah. It's actually a really stark contrast between him and Selma too, where Selma's this like girl that's literally blind, working all these jobs and having her activities to not even to get herself ahead, but just to save her son. And he's like too lazy, to do anything. Like after being gifted all this money.
Yeah.
I almost think he even just uses his wife as like a scapegoat. It's like, oh, I can't say no.
Right.
That's like the reason why he's losing it.
Yeah, but it's his character is just like his character clearly just has no backbone. He's very woe is me the whole movie. So yeah, this is all in the first couple minutes, and I'm really like immediately already in the story. I don't know where it's going, but like I'm just happy to like learn about all these characters.
Some of us are.
So we Bill and Selma have this emotional conversation where she reveals about her illness, where she's nearly blind now, and her son has the same issue, the same genetic disorder that, and unless he gets an operation soon, he's also going to go blind as he gets older. And that's why she came to America in the first place, because there's doctors here that can give him that operation. Yeah. So this is a very noble character, very, very almost. I think he's almost supposed to be a reflection of just like the naive, innocent, like little girl.
Well, he's virtually like the polar opposite, where like obviously he doesn't have money like in this, but like he had money and like he's just like not able to like he's just like it's like him not having money is the reason he is unhappy.
Yeah,
opposed to like where Bjork's character is able to like just still see good things in life, even
though she literally can't see.
Yeah, even though literally like she's working constantly for money that she's only using for her surgery, she's not even able to like just store money.
Yeah.
So question.
Yes.
If Bjork went to New York, would she be a New Bjorker?
So moving on.
Well, she went to Washington, so.
Well, that was just the question I had. Proceed.
I think you would say the Bjork apple.
Jesus.
Hachi.
So they have this emotional exchange, and I think you think more I think you think more positively of Bill's character though after this exchange. At least I did. You don't like really. He seems just like a good guy, like in a bad spot. but
for a few
like,
minutes.
Yeah,
for a few minutes.
This is probably the only time you remotely feel bad for Bill's
Yeah, there's
character.
a very
Yeah.
small window.
It's very
Very
quick.
small
Yeah.
window. Yeah, but as we just continue on with Bjork's character going throughout her routine, and we just learn more about her. We learn about this illness, and we learn she has this gift since she's going blind. She has this gift where she gets through her times of anxiety by using the natural sounds around her to create music in her own head and imagine she's in a musical because nothing bad happens in a musical.
She just romanticizes like all of life to essentially just ignores it.
Exactly. And
Don't we all?
And what's interesting is, so there's actually not a musical number until we're like 40 minutes into this movie. And I don't know why. That first musical number, like I always just like I don't know how to feel about it for 15 seconds and I'm just like smiling like a Fruit Loop.
Yeah, I usually don't like musical numbers in shows or movies, but the way it picked up with the natural noise in the factory was cool. And then she started singing, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know about this." And then like it picked up a little bit more and got way better.
She's her voice and the just way she sings is really intriguing to me.
Yeah, it's just like the really soft, like choppy singing didn't sound good to me.
Yeah, there's some parts that it sounded a little weird. Definitely.
But then when it got more upbeat and picked up, it was good.
Yeah, but I think it was. I think it was more like the musicals are probably produced like the least amount that they could be in this film, and I think it was just supposed to. I think it was just supposed to be a device to kind of break down like the boundaries of what this film can do. That goes hand in hand with using like the low budget cameras and only using natural lighting. It's just trying to push the boundaries of what film is capable of. And I think the way they work in these numbers is very, very creative. And I would say like 5.5 of them land for me out of 6.
I'd also say like it gives a good like kind of juxtaposition to like like the way Bjork sees like kind of life in comparison to like the actuality.
Yeah.
Right.
Like where like she's essentially living in a musical when things get tough.
Yep. And after every musical number ends, that's when bad things are going to happen again, and something tragic happens after every musical number ends.
Or it's starting in the middle of the musical number.
Yeah, or starting the work or completing it.
Yeah.
Am I the only thought when the musical is going to end, her hand was going to be like chopped off? Just me. I was like, she's gonna be daydreaming, and we're gonna come back and like,
the one where she was working the overnight shift.
Yeah,
I did.
I immediately thought like she's gonna like come out of this and like wake up to like a hand in the compressor.
I thought it was gonna like hard cut to her hand.
Yeah,
in it.
something like that.
That would have been a very Lars Von Trier thing to do.
Yeah, like another scene, for example. I totally saw that coming. I was like, here we go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I knew. Oh yeah. But so we basically get this rundown of all our jobs, everyone around us, and that brings in this like part of the movie really flies by quickly for me. But you find out all our best friends. It's Kathy. You have Jeff, that's basically her own personal simp. You find out where she works. She does drama on the side because she loves musicals. She talks to everyone about musicals in this movie, and everyone seems to know or like musicals in this movie as well.
Yeah.
But to the credit is most of the people she's talking to are like also immigrants, like the doctor. It's the only one that's not that says they love the musicals is Bill. And like everybody else talks about like it, and this is also 1964. So I'm gonna assume that it was a more prevalent form of medium at the time.
Yeah, like Shirley Temple and Dancing in the Rain or whatever, singing.
Yeah, like Fred Astaire. It was I assume it was much bigger at the time for as many people are just very partial to musicals. But so we get our first musical number, and like we said before, after every musical number, that ends in tragedy. And about right here, you can't really go much further without spoiling. So before we go to that, before we get into spoiling, Is there, with the musical numbers in general, is there any you guys just feel like just didn't work or just like straight up failed?
Yeah.
Is there anything?
Peter Stormare on the train track.
I was actually going to say that was probably the one where it was like I didn't really care about it.
Not only
out of all of the musical numbers.
Yeah. Not only was the singing bad, but they were just like at certain points just straight up saying what they were doing. Like, it's come on, man.
That's actually the one that got nominated for an Oscar.
God damn it!
Yeah, that's the one that got nominated for an Oscar.
That's the one I just didn't like.
That's honestly though, I think I felt like that at first, like the first time I watched it, and like I've really grown on that one. I think that's the best sequence.
I mean, it's the most important, I think, to what's going on.
I just think
you could make the same argument for the one at the end, but it's just like that's where he starts to find out that she can't see and how she feels about it and all that. So
I just think that's the best sequence. Like as far as watching it in a pure entertainment value, like I like on all the musicals, you can see that colors get brighter because he uses a different type of lens, and they shoot all the musical sequences with 100 cameras and just try to go for mass coverage and cut together what they can.
Wow.
Yeah, 100 handheld cameras.
Jeez.
Yeah,
it's a lot of people.
But like, I really like the scenic. I like the imagery you get with like the train, the colors on the train, and the dudes dancing with the saws on top, and just like the shot, like the big shots of people on the lake, and just like randomly dancing in the field.
Yeah.
I like the imagery. Yeah, when she like goes through the guys, and like this usually isn't my jam, but I think this is like super nice to look at. It tells the story really well. So that's actually the second musical number. So after the first one, we can actually talk about that. That's when she's on the night shift, and we thought she was going to get her can clipped off, but she just breaks the machine that's making like, I don't know, like what, steel tins or something, like steel.
Yeah, it looked like it was like the
hotel,
like the warmer trays. Yeah,
it's just. But yeah, she's working a night shift to make extra money because now we know she's saving up money in like a tin cookie tin.
Yeah.
To save up money for her kids' operations so she doesn't go blind. And she's working this extra shift to do this. Little mistake happens. And we don't really hear much until she goes back into the factory, and that's when we find out she got fired for that mistake on the line.
She goofed.
She sent home. Yeah, she goofed. And coincidentally, this is the time she leaves, and Peter Stormare is not there to pick her up for once. So she goes to walk home, and here Jeff is finally to be found, and walks her home on the train tracks and shares this musical number with her.
Yeah.
So, as we said, at the end of the musical number comes tragedy, and the night previous, you find Bjork has a scene with Bill's character again. This is where you see the heel turn in Bill. Where you know things are not going to be good. They have this really intimate conversation where she talks about what she loves about musicals because nothing bad can happen in the musical. She would leave before the end because then it could just go on forever, which is a pretty good obvious foreshadowing for the way this movie is going to carry us. And nothing bad can happen. And you find out Bill is going to lose the house because he has no money, and he said he's going to man up and tell his wife tomorrow. And he knows at this point she's super blind. So as he's leaving, he sees her pull. She thinks he's gone, and he sees her pull out her cookie tin full of money, and you can basically see this guy licking his lips. And
money.
Once he puts the money away, scene cuts, and that's when we go back to the factory and see Bjork lose her job.
Yeah.
So.
Holler if you hear me!
Whoa, slow down there, Chief. Looks like we are entering spoiler territory. If you have not seen this film and would prefer for it not to be spoiled, you may want to consider skipping to the timestamp provided below. Thanks for listening. She comes back from the musical number on the train tracks with Peter Stormare and decides, I don't have a job anymore. I'm going to put this money, my last paycheck in here, and I'm going to go bring my money to the doctor because I don't have any way to make it anymore and get my kid his operation. Yeah. And the cookie tin is empty. I swear my heart drops at this scene. Like, you know what's coming, but it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is hard to watch. Yeah. So then she goes inside to the house, knowing it was Bill, and his wife's there and accuses her of coming on to her husband. And we know that's not what it is, and Bill's just using her as circumstance. And she said to her son earlier more, always mention money around Bill because he likes to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the first of a series of things being said, taken out of context, used against her to build a false case about something.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes upstairs to confront Bill, who has her $2,000 and some odd dollars. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I don't remember.
$1,056.10.
Hell yeah. The $2,056.10. That's what it was?
Yeah.
$2,056.10. Oh, and then she adds the $30, so the $2,086.
No, it was 2026 beforehand.
So I don't know how much that calculates from 1964 money.
Not a lot.
More money.
More money than it is now.
I'd say probably like 10, 15.
Yeah. But anyways, Bill has taken this money and he's pleading with her that I'll give it back. I'll give it back in a month, but a month is going to be too long for her kid's operation. So ensues a struggle about them. Well, she tries to walk away first, right? She takes the money and she tries to walk away, and Bill pulls a gun on her.
Yeah.
And that's when the struggle ensues.
Yeah, and he has to tell her, he's like, I'm pointing a gun at you.
yeah.
He's like,
No shit, them boy.
Did he like hit her in the? Did he hit her in the face or
No,
did
he
he
made her
face. He's like, can you feel
Yeah,
it?
he made her hold it, kind of.
He hold it.
Like,
Yeah.
And then this is what I was talking about with the absence of sound.
Yeah,
This is such an effective scene for me.
Like the struggle is so awkward too.
It feels
like,
real to me.
Adds to it.
It makes
You know what I mean?
It makes you feel so uncomfortable.
Exactly. Like the lack of sound adds to that.
Say the lack of anything, and all you hear just like it's like this is a gun. Can you feel it?
Oh, it's bone chilling to watch. It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
But, So she wrangles the gun away, and Bill's pleading. Yeah, as Bill's pleading to kill her. Like, what choice does she really have? He says, "You got to shoot me to get the money," and so of course she shoots him. Really, I don't think she obviously didn't want to. It's what was she supposed to do at this point? It was almost like protecting yourself. Like, it's for her kid, it's her money.
Yeah.
She's never gonna see that. She knows she's never gonna see that money if she tells the truth or tells anyone her story. That's a recurring theme throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bill gets shot, and his wife hears. Obviously,
He gets shot a lot of times.
Gets shot quite a few times. Bill eats some lead.
Yeah.
And his wife goes to get the cavalry because in 1964 you can't just hop on your cell phone and get the cops there.
You gotta hop on your horse.
Literally. So Bill eats some lead and he still will not die.
No.
So you're treated to this very graphic, like realistic, silent, natural noise only bashing in of Bill's head with a safety deposit box.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah. The emotion feels like so real to me with like the way she's crying and just like hesitant. Like it's so well acted for someone who does not act.
Yeah.
The acting is like just so impressive to me in this movie, honestly. And I think
Bjork just feels so genuine as a character.
Yeah.
Totally.
And people have talked about this in interviews, have said on set that Bjork wasn't so much acting, but almost just feeling.
Yeah.
Was kind of the approach that her and Lars took, and that's like why they got so hotly contested a lot of the times too.
Yeah.
Like he's very in his own image, and like when you're trying to force someone who's not used to this or used to direction to feel a certain way, because like realistically, she was hot shit around this time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So she's probably used to people kissing her ass.
Yeah. Not having an angry Swedish man bark at her.
Better. Act better. So eventually, after the head bashing, Bill is dead, and she has her money. And unsurprisingly, we go into another musical number.
Oh God, this one, like This one, it wasn't like a bad one, but every time the kids started singing, I fucking lost it.
Yeah, the kid just comes by on his bike.
I did what you had to. It's so fucking weird.
This dance number, I don't dislike it. I think it's good, and I think it really saves itself because there's some haunting imagery in this dance sequence.
Yeah,
I really like those like creepy shots of like Bill like bloodied in the face, just like gets up and cleans himself up, and he's just like really looking out the window.
Yeah,
and then like slow dancing in the house. Like I think it's like some real fucking effective imagery.
Yeah.
I really like the way that he uses the handheld cameras to create a lot of just haunting imagery and metaphors to the movie. It's really to me it's just so impressive.
It really shows what like if you try to make something look kind of low budget with like the filmmaking, but like you have like you have a much higher budget like than you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you can really make like something like that look like.
Mm-hmm. Just there's so much more. It does make sense with his Dogma 95 theory that it gives you much more artistic freedom to push the boundaries of what a film can do. And I feel so many different emotions up and down throughout this film. It's such an emotional roller coaster for me.
Yeah.
I really had a good experience watching it this time. This had a much more profound effect on me than I expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
So this was for me though. This was my first like little knock I'm going to give it, where I think this musical number stretches a little bit longer than it needs to.
Yeah,
this is one This is one where like they could have shaved if they made this like 20%, 15% shorter. I think that would have been a good call.
I can see that.
And I kind of like thought it was a little weird with like the wife being there, like, but it's her and like dancing, telling her to get away, but it's also her fantasy, and that's just her own way of coping with it.
Yeah.
So you really can't knock on that. It's not like it's not like there's anything wrong with it. It's her fantasy, so there are no rules, and it's not like a bad thing in the movie be like trying to be a good thing. It was a choice that he made. So it's kind of hard to like give a knock on that. But that's like some small things I observed. Running away, she runs into the man that's always around, Jeff. Jeff. He's still willing to help her, and she doesn't want Jeff fucking up her shit. Cause she's smart. I didn't even catch on to. I'm glad I'd seen this movie a couple times now because I didn't even like realize the whole thing. I did not actually like this movie the first time I saw it. I didn't know. I was so split. I didn't know what to think about it. But I didn't catch on to the whole thing that she can't tell anyone about. She can't like tell anyone about them, like her kid's eyes and the money, where it's just gonna get taken and her kids are gonna go blind.
Yeah.
It's for some reason that like this whole like paradox that she's been committed into like just did not dawn on me until this. What did you guys think about that like storyline where she's kind of just like stuck into like accepting whatever fate she's dealt, but not being able to?
I think it was just really good. Like it just tells like in the bare bones of it's just a really good story about just like this self-sacrifice someone's willing to go through for someone like they truly care about, and like they don't like especially in this movie like they don't care at all what happened. Like Bjork doesn't care at all what happens to her. Like as long as her son's gonna be able to see and like actually live like a normal life, because she doesn't want like his life to end up like hers, where she's now. I'm not sure how old she's supposed to be in the movie, like maybe 30s, 40s. And
she's 35 in real life, so at this point, so I'm at. That's kind of like more in that movie range. Yeah, because you're supposed to be 12, and then like you have that scene where she's talking to Kathy Donnell's character, or Kathy, where she says like, "Well, if you knew he'd be born with the same thing, why'd you have him?" And she's just like bawling her eyes out and says like, "I just wanted to hold a little baby."
Yeah.
So like that makes me think that she was younger and naive, so early 20s.
Yeah,
does seem reasonable.
I guess I missed like that whole part where she can't tell anyone about like her kid's problem or the money. And that was something that I questioned later on. I'm like, well, at a certain point, it would have behooved her to be able to tell people like why she had this money but and And I was like, yeah, well, now she can't because she didn't tell anyone. It would just seem like she's making it up. But did they specifically say she couldn't, or was it just implied?
It was just implied, and that's why she had this whole story like built around that. Like she was sending money to his father that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Because like it was like almost like washing her money. She didn't. First off, her kid couldn't know about the illness because any stress about it would exacerbate it and make him go blind faster.
Okay, yeah.
And
I guess I was taking it like when Jeff came by with the bike originally, she's like, I can't take it. We don't have anything to offer in return. I can't just take it. Mm-hmm. So I took it as like she just didn't want to accept help.
Yeah.
From other people, and she thought that people would like pity her and stuff, but that makes a lot more sense.
I think that's also a little bit part of her just kind of also being a little bit too proud.
Yeah, I think she has a lot of pride, and that's why she wouldn't accept it.
Yeah.
And I think there's also a part where she doesn't want to like accustom her kid to these things because she knows she can't give her kid that life.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, it almost seems a little hokey, like when like she drops her off at the stop and she like goes to like this like private doctor's house like through the woods. But it makes sense because she has to get rid of the money. She can't like she's gonna like they're gonna find her, they're gonna take the money, like they think the money's stolen, so they're literally just gonna take it, and then no one's gonna get money, and she's gonna go to jail anyway. So she has to do this now, and she can't put her name on it because if they like trace it there and then they find like her name somewhere, they're gonna take the money.
Right.
So it's actually really terrific writing, I think, to come up with that scenario. It's like all these things might be a little bit implausible, but I'm very like well into the story at this point. I don't think anything's so implausible, especially in 1964, that I don't buy it.
It's also her just being as protective as she can. She wants it to be essentially just ironclad. Her child will get this operation, and she wants to make sure there's absolutely no way it can be taken away from him.
Yeah. So I think that's a very. I found that whole storyline. It's just really heartbreaking and really terrific. I just think it's a really powerful way to use this circumstance to deliver a message.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes back to her musical dance rehearsal, which is kind of just like a plot device, but it's fine. It adds some character to her, gives her a hobby, gives you a couple more like interesting characters. And like it doesn't take up too much time. So, and that's where you get another half dance number as she's arrested and carried on her back into the back of the cruiser. I love that shot. It makes me giggle, and it has kind of like that goofy like detective music that plays.
Yeah.
I think this was the dance number, but there was one where the people around her were singing "We'll always be here to catch you."
Yeah,
It was definitely after she committed the crime.
Yeah,
which I thought was really funny.
Yeah. They split that one in half, so they do half of it here where like they catch her and put her into the cruiser, and then they do it again when she's in court.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So after she gets arrested, just skips right to court, which I think is a real smart move. No need to drag it out anymore. And it follows up with another thing I talked about a couple weeks ago. I didn't really mention this at the beginning, but this movie also just like hits the ground running. Which I really like. Like you get your character introduction, but like she's in her class, like she's at work, and then like she has a kid that's fucking up, but like they're not like I live here and I'm gonna wake up and walk around my house and show you things and like have these rudimentary introductions. It does this thing again, and I think that's why I'm absorbed in it so quick, just because it just starts off and it's already doing something that it's already telling me a story, and it's already giving me a reason to be invested in these people.
Yeah,
and just continuing that and keeping the tempo at this point, I think, is a good call. So we go right into the courtroom where you see all these just like a little anecdotal things that she said offhand, building a case against her, basically sealing her fate that she stole the money and killed Bill in premeditated fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Like the offhand saying that she liked communism and that being used against her, that now she hates America. What was another thing? Her gassing at Bill about money, that's because she's greedy and all she wanted was his money. So now they have a motive. There was some more. Who else was there anyone else that was like really an enemy for her?
I think it was like pretty much just like them just really hammering down like on like being like it's like, oh, she's a communist and she's greedy.
Yeah, and I mean they eventually call that witness in.
Yeah, Novi. But the chilling part about it all is nothing they say, and it's more than 2 examples. They're just escaping me right now. They probably say like 4 or 5 of these things they throw back at her, and nothing they say is false.
Yeah.
Like, these are all things that she really did, all things that really happened, but they're all half circumstances, and the only people behind her are like her 2 immigrant friends from work.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting dynamic. They already have her like guilty until proven innocent. Like she's getting torn up and like shredded like on this by this jury, but we just followed her around on movie, and it's just this like handicapped woman who's not the eye doctor. She just wanted to work, and like now they're just against her. Like, no, she passes eye exam, she could see.
Right, she's just nearsighted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it's like these are things that absolutely happened. You can't dispute those. And so you just see this woman getting like verbally battered by circumstantial evidence that you followed around for the last hour and a half, and like she's just like this good-hearted mom, hardworking mom that just wants a better life for her son, and it's really like nerving to watch, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then like she has this story where she's sending money back to dad. This Czechoslovakian man, that actor that was in musicals back in our home country, Eldridge Novi, that's his name. They actually called this guy in and sent him on stage to testify, and of course he's like, no, this isn't my daughter. I do not know her. I knew the second he walked in, like, oh man, we got a shit hot dance number coming.
We sure did.
Dude, I love that guy in the dance number. He looks so happy.
Yeah.
With his little tap dancing. I don't know how you just don't smile at that.
He
I
was
loved it.
thrilled.
He's like, yes.
That's what I'm here for.
I'm here to dance.
That was great. I loved it.
Indusen.
Well, we go through this, and of course the dance number ends, and we know something tragic's going to happen, and she's sentenced to death by hanging.
She fucked.
For murder in the first degree. And we are suspectedly devastated, and then she goes to her solitary confinement where Jeff and Kathy are working behind the scenes to try to get her a new attorney. Not knowing she doesn't care, because she knows this is a court-appointed attorney. They already got her pegged. They were incompetent, and eventually, Jeff the detective finds the private eye doctor that's going to do the operation on her son and gets the money to raise a new lawyer. And this is where she kind of has to. The jig is up, and she has to now depend on like her immigrant friends to lie to her, so her kid can get to live a blind-free life.
Yeah, but also, how did Jeff get the money?
Yeah,
I mean,
dude, the doctor be like, "Can I have the money back?"
Yeah, I guess that's a little iffy, but I'm willing to bet that like they can prove like the circumstances that this woman's in jail, and it's not going to happen. And like I will say, like Kathy and Jeff's character are pretty persuasive.
Yeah,
probably sold the bike.
It was a shit hot bike.
Made it gold.
Did it have fucking rims on it? So we find out they recovered the money for the operation and using it to get a real lawyer for her, but she knows what that means for her son, even if it means that she's not going to die. And we have this real emotional scene with Kathy where she kind of breaks down and tells her that, like, what good is it to me? I'm just a blind woman that's going to spend her life in prison, but I don't, like, my son needs his eyes. My son needs to see.
Yeah.
And it's such an effective scene for me. It's a really good, like, bookend to another character being presented with such a choice. And when she's accepted that, she tells her about she'd like her to be there for her execution. Mm-hmm. And it really works for me in all these levels as far as conveying the emotion and these things between characters. I really enjoyed all this stuff between them. and with Jeff's character, all that. So, in one other time, and this other part, and while she's in prison is my other just little knock on this movie. I thought that that whole when she befriends the prison guard,
Yeah,
I thought that whole subplot was great too.
I didn't like it actually.
I loved it. I love the way like she was like the one person that was like forced to like spend time with her, and she didn't see her as just this monster. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I thought that was just like it really fell in line with the other people that have spent time to really see who she is as a person.
I guess that's true. It just like I felt like it happened a little too quickly, considering that the guard must see that a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess we also don't really know how much time has passed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, time is
probably a lot
definitely
of
like
time.
at like pretty much after when she's like arrested, like it's very like hyper speed.
Yeah. Yeah, because at that point it's like you learned all you need to do about all our characters, and now like it has almost like I'm gonna call it, for lack of better terminology, like the Requiem from the Dream Train. Mm-hmm. Where now you're instead of like slowing you down to like this resolution, like you're jumping into the train, you're gonna be battered until the end and like emotionally drained with everything like to go there until you finally hit the ending.
Yeah,
and I do very. It's also a very film technique I'm pretty partial to. But this part in prison where she kind of like hums to "These are a few of my favorite things" by herself, I thought that scene was a little bit like, I don't want to say like it didn't need to be there, it didn't give any meaning, but I thought that was something that you maybe could have cut or like made shorter.
Yeah,
that's like my only other real knock on this movie. Other than that, I don't feel like I maybe like that. I feel like it maybe drags a little in like the prison scene, but I think it's because of this that I feel that way.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel otherwise, that like it dragged at this part, or any other part that we kind of glossed over?
This was the second part that I thought it dragged a little bit. All the stuff like in court, back and forth. Like, it cuts in between the same places a lot, but has different things going on.
Yeah.
So it's yeah.
I really like the court stuff, but I definitely agree with the prison stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, like I think I was just like I was like super invested. So like it just like I didn't like it, I didn't really feel a slowdown from, but like I definitely can see where you're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. This movie does not feel 2 hours and 40 minutes or 2 hours and 20 minutes to me at all. Yeah. So John, you said that you felt a lot of it was boring. Is there anything like in particular you felt like was boring that you just couldn't get into or you didn't like? Did like the musicals take you out of it?
I don't know. Like the musical parts were fun. I just felt like the movie didn't need them, I guess. I don't know. Like I understand their point of being there, and I can see why and like why they happen and why and story wise, but it's like I don't know.
Well, I think a part of the philosophy too of that too was like he actually wanted to have the entire movie be musical, but it was just not a feasible way to like have choreographed and have all these people actually dancing the whole time.
Yeah.
So this was the compromise of it, but the idea was that all these acts that happen in these movies, like with the robbery, like the conflict with Bill, like they're all supposed to be spontaneous moments of trauma, and these are supposed to be spontaneous acts of for her to find her own comfort in.
Yeah.
So there's an element. Yeah. So there's an element of instantaneous with the musicals where they allude a couple times, like, "Don't you love how they just start dancing and singing for no reason?" Where they allude to that about real musicals earlier in the movie. So I think that's kind of like what he was trying to go with, and I'm not sure I really understand the full philosophy of it, but I also have kind of like over the last year come to like they can come to the idea that I don't think everything in movies and art in general is meant to be understood, and I think that's okay. I think that's completely fine.
No, I feel that.
And that's how I feel about just some of the choices in this and the way he composes this movie together overall. I just think is really like a terrific film production. production. I think this is really like a boundary pushing film in its own way. It just like it really explores like what movies can really do. I get a lot of emotional response out of this movie, so it's really like a big hit for me. But we finally get to this end sequence where she's going to be taking her last 107 steps into her last musical number to the gallows. Yeah. So, what do we think of this ending?
Saw it coming.
Hard to watch.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it was hard to watch the moments leading up to it.
Yeah.
Just like shrieking.
Yeah. Do you like kind of feel like this wasn't going to happen at some point in the movie?
No. It seemed like
it's more
it was unreasonably tragic for her, like the whole movie.
Yeah.
So like kind of just finishes on the same path.
For me, it was like one of those things where like you see it, like where like you're hoping, like, oh man, I really hope this is the part where it turns for. But like in your mind, you're like, it's only gonna get worse. It's just gonna keep getting worse.
I thought that was gonna happen when she got the stay of execution.
Right. But that was like the last opportunity.
Yeah, I think that was like the only time where like you really get you, and then it was immediately shut down. Obviously, when she goes and meets with the lawyer.
Yeah, but I had a feeling I was like, Lars is not going to do this. At the time, I guess I didn't know. At the first time I saw this Antichrist, I remember thinking like, this is fucking garbage. Lars Von Trier is not just pretentious. He's just shooting shit. And like here I am now, like 6 years later, like this is the fucking greatest. It's just weird how like your film taste changed because I did not like him like even as a director. Like back then I didn't care for him. I thought it was like, yeah, he has some nice cinematography, but I don't think there's anything that's special about these movies.
Yeah.
But she gets to her gallows and this scene is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's boom, snap, clap.
From like this second the musical number stops to pretty much the end. It's like, man.
Yeah.
So this is my third time seeing this movie, and I've never had a response like this. But the second, like they were like, "Get the board," and they start strapping her in, the guards like fighting for her. I honestly cried.
I got a pit in my stomach.
Yeah.
Like my eye.
I didn't feel
wasn't
shit.
like watery eyes. Like I wasn't like sobbing or anything. You know what I mean? But I like legitimately cried like watching that. And like the second they were like at the board, like it's just like so like heartbreaking to see this character go through all this and just go out in like the most undignified way.
It's also just the way the guard the whole time is just the whole time is just like trying to like fight for her, just like she can't breathe,
Yeah, just so she can die with dignity.
And it's like no. He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't care. It's just another day to her. And it's like all this guard is literally fighting for is just so she can die like on her own terms and not like be forced to it.
Yeah.
And then you have this scene with Catherine. Like there's no like I let it fly because it's 1964, but there's no way this lady would have made it up. There's no way she'd make it up the tower.
Yeah.
But like
I'm gonna shut down real quick.
Yeah. I thought she was gonna get like fucking shot when she ran up there. The first I was like, no, Kathy, no.
Yeah, you're done too.
No. But it's really strange the way this next part hits me. Where like she gives him the glasses and she like says to him like, Gene wanted you to have these. He got the operation. He's gonna see his grandkids. And like it's almost like you get that huge pit in your stomach again, but it's like it's almost uplifting at the same time.
Yeah. It's like it's like all of her efforts weren't for nothing.
Yeah, and she gets this last second where she can be in her own world and just like go out happy, go out like knowing she did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like huge, and I think it's like a really like stark directorial choice too. Where like just in the middle of her like singing, the fucking gal just goes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. That's the part.
Yeah, just right in the middle of it just goes. Does it like the glasses drop like they were nothing? Like all this just like in reality meant nothing.
Yeah.
But it's okay because she got to live in her last world for a second and know she did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really effective movie for me. I love this movie. This movie's so powerful to me.
Yeah. Up until that last moment, this movie reminds me a lot of The Shape of Water.
You think so?
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
I mean, the whole dynamic between the two leads in that movie, totally. and a lot of tragic stuff happens to her up until the very end of that movie, and then like the crazy shit happens. Yeah. But
just a lot of the themes are very parallel too.
Yeah,
misunderstood. Like the misunderstood. It's just I think you can make a lot of the same parallels just to like Lars Von Trier and filmmaking in general. I think this guy is literally like the most misunderstood filmmaker of the last like 30 years. It's a completely different take on the medium of it, and I think he just tells these like intrepid stories more visually and using the actual medium, but at the same time stripping away that medium to tell these stories. It's so like it's almost like inspiring to me, and it makes me want to just find like more movies that like look to break boundaries of film. To me, like the best directors aren't the one that answers a question like this is the best way to do this. It's the directors that push the boundaries and say, well, what can we do to further the medium than we're doing right now? And I think that's what the Dogma 95 one's about, stripping away the restrictions of like having good lighting, having good sound, having a good script, having good cameras, and attempt to push like the boundaries of filmmaking further. And I just think that's a really distinctive, like innovative thing to take. And I wish this guy would have received more Academy Award nominations or just more recognition in general, because nobody knows who this is except for people that like really watch movies. Nobody knows who this guy is.
He's definitely one of like the biggest, like he's like for film people I feel like he gets put on a lot of lists, but like nobody like literally I feel like if you ask a lot of people if they or to even know any of his movies would honestly probably be Nymphomaniac, just because it like had a lot of infamy on Netflix when it first came out.
The way I used to look at my favorite directors is like I like the most movies by them, like relative to the amount of movies they've put out. But like I've kind of like shifted my philosophy on that a little bit more too, and I think like I would probably put him in like my second or third favorite director at this point, just because of the way he approaches the medium and expresses like the themes through his work. And like none of his movies are really like, you always see the distinctive style, but sometimes like the cinematography is like 11 out of 10, but then there's no set for some reason. Like in the movie he made after this, he actually like there's just like the minimal set. It's like literally like on like a board. It's like literally a board like if you're watching a play, it's like a play set. And like they just go with it and they act like there's nothing wrong. That movie I'm talking about is Dogville. He got a lot of acclaim for that one. And I've heard Quentin Tarantino say in an interview this is one of his top 20 favorite films that have came out since he's been a director. And if it was written for the stage, it would have won a Pulitzer Prize.
Wow.
So a lot of big ups from a more notable mainstream director.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino Pavanero, Robert De Niro.
Yeah. So that's about all I have to say about this film.
Really so I guess we get right into ratings then.
Does anybody have anything else to say before we go into that?
I'll save mine for the ratings.
Okay. All right. Now, who wants to get things going with ratings?
Let's let John go first.
I think we're gonna have a bell curve.
All right. This movie may not have piqued my interest, but I cannot sit there and say it's not a good movie, because it is a very good movie. Shot very interestingly. It has a decent script. It's weird seeing Bjork in anything, because I forget Bjork was a thing. Bjork. My mom loved Bjork when I was growing up, so that's why it's like weird. Like 20 years later, watching a movie with Bjork in it and being like, I actually called my mom and asked her if she's seen this movie. She has seen this movie, so
did she like it?
Yeah, she liked it a lot. Yeah,
I mentioned this movie to my tattoo artist this week, and he said like, "Oh, is that the movie with Bjork?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Isn't?" Oh, he's like, "I heard that's like the worst fucking movie ever." I'm like, my dude, I have a framed poster of this on my wall.
Anyway. So I can't sit there and say that just because I didn't like it, it's not a good movie. So I'm actually going to come in at like a 7.8 on this movie.
Jesus Christ,
man!
A movie you didn't like?
He gave a movie he liked a.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Well, this is what I'm being unbiased just because I didn't like it doesn't mean it's not a good movie.
I'll give you that. John does rate on unbiasedness.
He really does.
I do like to put a little personal bias in there.
I think it's like almost impossible to escape your personal bias.
I think you should. I mean, I don't think you should let it rule your rating, but I think it's important.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to let it, especially with my picks, because like obviously I'm picking these movies because I like them, but I know these movies aren't awesome. But when I watch a movie that I know it's a good movie, it's just not for me. I can't sit there and say it's a bad movie because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So that's why I have to rate it accordingly to what like I think personally. Like looking at it as film as a whole, I have to rate it like that, not because of how I liked it.
Yeah, no, it's like I get what you're saying too. Like I'm just to throw this example. This is before we were really doing like the more than a 0.5 rating. Before like I kind of like got savvy to that. Like I would have came in a little bit lower on Shallow Grave. And the reason I even like then a couple weeks later I came at the same rating as Matchstick Men because I couldn't like go there and look at my bias and be like I can honestly not say that this movie is better than this movie. Like I just can't like argue that.
Yeah.
So that's I kind of like that. Whoever just started saying, "I'm just not gonna go on 0.5."
I believe it was Ryan.
From the little rip.
Yeah, it honestly makes
like
rating
even
stuff
numbers.
a lot easier.
Yeah.
It honestly starts makes like stuff a little easier because I even find that problem online where it's like, well, I mean, like. Where like it feels so weird, like a movie I don't think is an 8, like putting like an 8 on IMDb, and I almost trap movies like in 8s because I don't want to give them a 9, but I think they're better than like.
Yeah, I've definitely done that on IMDb, like rating stuff.
Yeah, so I do like the specific point scale.
Definitely helps. So when it comes to rating movies, I think like John, what you're saying about rating them unbiased, just what you think makes a good movie. I agree with that, but I also. If I'm rating it, I'm probably trying to recommend it to someone or people. So I'm trying to also think about it from like more of a general standpoint. Yeah. Like, is this movie something you can just watch too?
No, that makes sense. Like I'm gonna recommend this movie to people because like I think people would like this movie. Like it's a good movie. It's just not a movie built for me.
It's a very, very decisive movie. Like I absolutely understand the split decision of this movie.
Yeah. Like I wish I would have watched this with Megan because I would have loved to see what she thought about this movie. Unfortunately,
that would be interesting.
Yeah, so I might actually like watch this with her like sometime this week, just so I can maybe if I watch it again, maybe I'll like it more. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And that's I think it might be a 2-viewer type of thing to get like a full thing.
I've seen this movie 3 times, but I didn't like it the first time.
Okay, so maybe I'll watch it again. Yeah, but it's one of those things where like I know it's a great movie because like I can see the things that they're doing in the movie, but it's just not a movie that's meant for me in my taste. Because there's no superheroes in it. There was not a scene that had Mark Ruffalo in it, and I didn't like that.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I was a completely different person the first time I saw this movie, though. Like it just in terms of like what I thought about stuff, just not even the closest same person. Okay, but anyways, if you want to continue, Tom.
Oh yeah. So overall, I did like it. I know I said I had some complaints about it, and personally, I'm not super into the musical aspect of a lot of things. But something that I noticed that I've been liking more and more as I watch more movies is when the directors try to take something about the character. And using some other form of the cinematography, they try to like amplify that. Mm-hmm. I feel like that totally her personality is coming through in the musical sequences. It's like clearly what's most important to her is how she deals with the high stress and high anxiety. Another movie I saw that I liked that a lot in was Drive. He uses the soundtrack a lot basically what's going on in the driver's head at the time. Yeah. Like there's just one song that plays over and over throughout the movie, and it's just like a good way to put you back in his head and remind you of what's going on in that moment. Yeah. And this one was definitely heavier into it. Yeah. And I like that. Even if I'm not really into the musical part of it, I think that's like, it was well done. It's a cool idea. It's a good way to make your movie seem different than any other movie, even if it's telling a similar story too, you know? Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot of really technical stuff. I didn't know all that stuff you said about taking things away from it. And personally, from a standpoint of creating something, I do think that a lot of the best stuff comes out when you're working from a place of limitations.
Yep, and that's exactly the philosophy of it.
There's only so many things you can focus on, and if you can't do certain things, you have to find another way to make that happen, solve that problem. And I do really like that. So you talking about that influences it as well. I give it a 6.7.
Okay.
Neat.
I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I just think like just the way Bjork's character just constantly goes down this just spiral and just tells such a fantastic story, really, about just like how far someone's willing to go for just self-sacrifice just for the best of someone. No matter, like, it doesn't matter what will happen to them as long as the person they care the most about is safe. Is just like, it's just fantastic the way it's all written, and just like the way like they really use like the musical pieces to add kind of a calm before the storm aspect. With all that being said, I'm giving it an 8.8.
Boom.
Right.
Tyler, take us home with this review.
So I talked about two things that I'm going to give little knocks in this movie for, and those are really my only complaints at all about this movie. I think the action is fantastic. I think the way this movie was produced was fantastic. I think all these metaphors, all the way he uses these mediums to accentuate all these features about characters was absolutely fantastic. I thought the pacing was great. The ending was really hit me emotionally, in a movie that can put me through all these emotions of happiness, hopefulness, depression, like literally to the point of tears. I think is an incredible thing. I really think this movie pushes boundaries, and I'm going to come in extraordinarily high on this movie. I'm going to give this movie a 9.3.
Ooh. Woo!
So,
for what's our grand total?
32.6.
Boom. Roasted.
Boom. Pretty nice.
Nice.
So nice. We'll
That's a
rate
high
this place.
score.
Let's see. IMDb 8.0. Metacritic 61.
Surprising.
Yeah. The Rotten Tomatoes similar. I checked it earlier. It's like Rotten Tomato critic, it was 69. Audience, it was like 87.
I honestly think that'd be swap.
I know, me too, right?
Yeah.
I'm really surprised this movie like landed better with the audience and critics.
I think one thing I've noticed about the critic, a lot of critics reviews I've read, and it's kind of goes to the polarizing. There's the critics that really buy into what Lars Von Trier is doing, and there's critics that are just really into the technical stuff and like the structure of movies. They're, I don't want to say used to, but it's what's conceived like in those structures to make a good movie that he's trying to deconstruct, and they think this movie's garbage because of that.
Yeah.
So like those, so I think because of those things, you get this polarizing where you get this kind of like lukewarm, like above average, like good rating, but not like that upper tier of rating from critics. Where
I still think a 69 is a pretty good rating.
Hey.
Yeah, from critics it is.
Yeah.
It's just normally, especially on a movie like this, you don't see like an audience score that much higher than critics.
Considerably higher.
Yeah.
What
I
about
think part of it too is the people like watching and rating this movie like knows who Lars Von Trier is, knows like about the avant-garde style of filmmaking, and aren't like are looking for something alternative anyway, and are just more partial to watching it. I like how many people know about this movie that just like aren't like into film. Right. So I think that's kind of where you get that.
What about a
D9
rating?
Moving away from the musicals. I believe
you don't know that.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know that.
We actually do have a few musical numbers in the movie I'm picking.
Oh boy,
is it Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the most underrated Paul Thomas Anderson movie, and my favorite, be 1999's Magnolia.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Hard 8. I was like, fuck yeah!
No, it is 3 hours and 8 minutes.
That is a Bury Your Dead song. For
A
those
very
who,
long.
Yeah,
for those who care.
I mean, I'm 100. I'm 100% capable of sitting through 3
I just want you to
movie
be
in one
aware
sitting.
going into it.
I just watched Endgame the other day, so
Yeah, so
Yeah.
My
you
man!
gotta watch Endgame and what was
Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Infinity War,
Back
yeah,
to
in the
back.
same day. That's nuts.
Back to back.
I did them like one day and then the next day, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Back to back.
Quite the star-studded cast with the likes of
Tom Cruise!
Tom Cruise, Julianne Moore. Who's that drug addict who died?
Drug addict who dies!
Oh man, I know this cast is ridiculous. I know John C. Riley's in this, right?
John C. Reilly!
William H. Macy.
Oh,
Patton Oswald.
Oh, this movie looks like a feast.
yeah.
This movie is stacked like motherfucking pancakes.
Honestly, I remember you watching this in the living room years ago, not watching it, but hearing this movie go on and hearing just like John C. Reilly, and I'm thinking this movie sounds really interesting.
Like I said, this is my
Healy's in it, Neil Flynn's in it. Oh,
Neil
yeah.
Flynn's in it. Oh,
Neil
shit.
Flynn's in it.
The
Yo,
janitor.
I've been watching some
And
Scrubs.
Oswald's in it.
Let me tell
Some of
you.
these people are in there for like literally a minute, but there is quite a few. There's quite a few stars at quite a while.
I like how I was hesitant about giving you a 2-hour and 40-minute movie, and Ryan just like,
Boom! 3 hours. Fuck you.
You have
bother me.
You have Robert Downey Sr. in it.
Oh,
Ooh.
God.
The other Iron Man.
Howard Stark.
No, that's John Slattery.
you were talking about Philip Seymour Hoffman as a drug addict
Yeah.
that died.
Yeah.
Oh, God. What a fucking
It's not-
asshole.
It's not John Slattery. It's the other guy.
I'm gonna make a bet right now.
Is it?
If we make it to I'm gonna make a bet right now. If we make it to 25 episodes, Philip Seymour Hoffman will be the most appeared person in any of these movies. And
Possible, yeah.
I think he's just like such a good character actor that he fits into like these movies. I think I would not be surprised if he makes like 6 appearances.
He was in Red Dragon.
Red Dragon.
Let's wrap this boy up.
Well, I mean, I am going to pick more
All right.
Ryan Reynolds movies, so.
Oh my gosh. All right. We have been There Will Be Just Movie Podcast, completing our 9th episode with us. If you've been here with us all 9 times, you are the best.
We love you.
And we love you a lot.
I will, like, literally come to your house and I'll clean your dishes.
He will. I've seen him do it.
I'll do your dishes, I'll fold your laundry, and I'll make love to your daughter. As long as she's over 21.
All right.
Well, on that note, goodbye.
Bye.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of foolishness. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us.
You did it, Mr. Kokoschka.
Oh, Oscar, I'm so proud of you.